real convenient that nobody is speaking about what's going on in Alaska right now. No news coverage, nothing.
Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. So lovely. So I came across this video on my For You and I thought to share. And people are reacting to the fact that a typhoon has actually rocked Alaska, and the fact that the media is not even covering this is so baffling. Lovelies, I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together because it's as if the earth is about to flip. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. If something like this is going on in Alaska, what now happens to those people who decided that they were going to climb the mountain in this kind of, nature or environment? Anyway, lovelies, let's dive into it, and we're just going to come back to talk about it.
Real convenient that nobody is speaking about. It's real convenient that nobody is speaking about what's going on in Alaska right now. No news coverage, nothing. So a typhoon hit Alaska with Category 4 hurricane winds. And if you know what a typhoon is, you know what a typhoon can do. This typhoon destroyed several native villages in Alaska. Jump down the rabbit hole, you'll see people's homes floating. You'll also see plots where homes used to be not there anymore. And again, you'll see that nobody's talking about this. The only people that's talking about this is on social media. Mind you, they're saying over 20 people are unaccounted for. They can't find them. Missing. Gone. But guess what? It might be way more than 20 people that's missing. It might be way more than 20 people that lost their lives. Now, you also got to remember that FEMA was defunded. No news coverage, and they're saying that help is supposedly on the way. But if nobody's reporting these stories, letting people know what's going on, how do we know that help is really going to get there? Let me say this to you again. Homes are being swept away. This typhoon brought hurricane winds and flooding to Alaska in rural areas. Alaskans need help. We need to get this message out there. It's real convenient that nobody is speaking.
Yo, have y'all heard about that typhoon that just hit Alaska today? Yes, October 13th, 2025. Roll the clip. And I have to say, for educational entertainment purposes only. So how much longer do you think we have on this planet, family? Are y'all not paying attention to what's going on? It's just a question for educational entertainment purposes. As I said, for educational entertainment purposes only. It really looks like America is about to be free again. Free from colonization, free from people's harvest being stolen, meaning the money that you earn, you ain't got to pay tax. It ain't even going to be a money system anymore because that's fiat. That's not real money. Real money is the actual resources that will be here for everybody. And nobody's going to control them or subjugate anybody. But before all of that happens and is reintroduced to the world is going to go through a reset. Mother Earth about to do a whole shake. And then the innovation will be brought. And all those mythologies that they call mythologies, that's going to be here on Earth again. Hope you can stay alive long enough to see it through. Divine honesty to the end. Yeah. Ashe, family.
This Indigenous Peoples Day, all eyes should be on Western Alaska. Still reeling from the aftermath of Typhoon Halon, Indigenous communities in Western Alaska are fighting for their lives. Subsequent flooding, winds, and drastic weather has taken homes off of foundation, leveled communities, and destroyed families. There are currently dozens missing and many to be accounted for. At the forefront of major climate change events, Indigenous communities, specifically Arctic communities, are one of the most vulnerable in the Western Hemisphere. Communities such as Kotlik and Napakiak are some of the hardest hit, with many families worrying about where they're going to sleep tonight. Many of these communities have very limited infrastructure due to systemic oppression and colonialism, as well as extractive industries poisoning their lifelines, foodways, and sacred sites. Many of these communities are not accessible by car, nor by sled. Some of the hardest hit communities are only accessible by helicopter, airplane, and boat. In 2025, Indigenous people do not have sufficient enough infrastructure to sustain themselves. Why? Because people would rather put profit and industries over the well-being of the first peoples of this land.
What's happening right now in Western Alaska, in Kipnik, Quig, and other communities is absolutely devastating. Typhoon Halong has caused massive flooding. Homes have been torn from their foundations, and some are even floating miles down the river or out into the ocean. People are missing, and families have lost everything. And yet almost no one is talking about it. Right now, it's only local media covering these stories, or us, community members. But this deserves national and international attention. To understand why these storms hit so hard, we have to remember our history. Once Alaska became a U.S. territory in 1949, the federal government forced our people and our children to attend school, or their parents faced incarceration. This policy broke apart traditional ways of life and forced Yupik people to permanently settle into areas of land. But settler colonialism forced us to live on small, flood-prone patches of land that were never meant for permanent settlement. Now, as the Arctic warms faster than anywhere else on the Earth, storms like this are growing even stronger, and they're destroying entire communities. This is not just a natural disaster. This is climate injustice. We need the world to see what's happening here. Climate change in the Arctic isn't just about our polar bears or melting ice. It's about our people. Our communities are on the front lines, and we need the world to pay attention. To those watching this, to those in media, to those especially who look to Indigenous peoples for our stories and our knowledge, do what you can to make this injustice visible, not only to the rest of this country, but to the world, because this isn't a story that just happened yesterday or years ago. This is happening right now as I speak.
There's a huge storm in Western Alaska happening right now, and people's homes are flipping upside down. There are homes floating away into the river. Here's a picture that somebody posted. These are homes floating away, and nobody's talking about it on the national media. Our local media is covering it, but there's literally hurricane force winds and flooding in Alaska, and there's silence from the national media. People's homes flipping upside down. I've been watching this guy on live throughout the day and last night, and I just saw his live a little bit ago. Rescuers are leaving in boats to go rescue the people whose homes floated away into the river, and the rescuers came back and they were walking by his live and going to the school, and one of them was carrying a baby that floated away in one of those homes. I'm going to play a clip from one of these live videos, and you can see him pointing at where homes used to be, and now they've floated away for like 4+ miles down the river. And I just need the national media to start talking about this, because Alaska is part of the United States. There is a national emergency happening here, and nobody's going to cover it.
There was a house right here. There was a house right here, right where my finger's at. But now it's right there. You see it? It's right there. There were houses over here, right where my hand's at. But they're gone. We don't know where they're at. And then there's houses across town that went about 4 miles out of the village.
Guys, I have an update on Alaska, and these indigenous villages have been destroyed, and winter is here. They're going to need a lot of help. Now, the government is there, right? FEMA is there. Tribal government is there helping. The Coast Guard is there. The National Guard is there. So we have feet on the ground trying to help, but we know it's never enough. These are local organizations that have feet on the ground that are actively helping. I'm going to link them in my link tree. If you can help, please do. They need our help. Here's a video of the devastation.
Oi, que sim.
Where's Tommy?
Today is Indigenous Peoples Day, and I want to talk about the typhoon that just hit Western Alaska, as well as explain why climate change and climate injustice is a racial issue. Typhoon Halong just hit Western Alaska, devastating communities like Kipnik, Quig, and many others. And as climate change continues to get worse, which is going to lead to stronger storms and more wildfires and more ice melting, marginalized communities are going to be hit first and the hardest because we lack the infrastructure and the funding to deal with it. And we see this every single time a quote-unquote natural disaster occurs. And now to bring it back to Indigenous people, we have to couple this with the fact that when Alaska became a territory of the U.S., the Yupik people were forced off of their lands by the United States, and they were told that if their children did not go to American schools, they would be incarcerated. And the lands that they were forced to live on were flood-prone and not fit for permanent living. And in every sense of the word, the Yupik people were ripped away from their traditional ways of life. And the United States sins against the Indigenous people in 1912 are exactly why the Yupik people have been hit so hard by Typhoon Halong. Homes are floating away, people have lost everything, and families are devastated. And this will only continue to get worse as climate change does. So this Indigenous Peoples Day, it would be great if you could please gift whatever you can to relief efforts. You can find them on the OLB spreadsheet right here, and also uplift some of your favorite Indigenous creators, and I'm going to have mine tagged in the comments.
A typhoon hit Alaska this morning and not enough people are talking about it. So if you don't know, now you know. And apparently there's been 20 people who are unaccounted for, and most likely a lot more. And with FEMA being defunded by Trump and National Guard agents being in places that they don't need to be, it's likely that the people in Alaska, specifically the Native American folks there, are not going to get the help that they need in the time that they need it. And just like here in the mainland, the Native Indigenous folks in Alaska were forced from their land and put onto land that was extremely unlivable and unsustainable. And so they're getting hit extremely hard by this storm. And they're going to continue to get hit hard by it because the frequency of the storms are going to increase due to climate change. And the fact that this is happening on Indigenous Peoples Day is extremely unfortunate. So if you have a platform of any kind, no matter how big or how small, post about it, spread awareness in any way that you can. Even if you don't have a platform, still spread awareness in any way that you can, because the people in Alaska need help.
Today is Indigenous Peoples Day, no matter what that orange man says. And one of the best things that you can do for Indigenous people today is support the communities of Western Alaska and tell the stories of climate injustice. Typhoon Halong has recently hit Western Alaska, which has devastated the small Indigenous communities of Kwingillingok and Kipnik. Resources needed to survive are gone, homes were uprooted, and some even drifting out into the ocean. At least 30 people have been rescued, with others still missing. And make no mistake, this is the direct result of climate injustice and generations of anti-Indigenous racism. As the United States basically colonized Alaska, making it a state and pushing Indigenous people off of their lands, they were forced to settle on small, flood-prone places that were not meant for permanent living. And now that we are speeding up the climate crisis, melting the ice caps, and making storms like this even stronger, Indigenous communities are the first to pay the price, as they often are. This is likely not going to make national news, but it is yet another example of the ways that the humans and the land are connected, and they are both brutalized at the hands of capitalism, imperialism, and colonization. Donate aid to these communities if you can, if not them, any of the other Indigenous communities that have been impacted by climate injustice. Read more books, engage more critically, send an email to your senators, even if you just want to tell them that the executive, and spread the word about this story and stories like this, because they are everywhere.
Like, seriously, lovelies. The whole of the social platform is a shock. Like, they are in shock as a powerful typhoon has made landfall in Alaska. Something many Americans never thought they would see in their lifetime. The storm, which brought hurricane force winds, massive coastal flooding, and widespread destruction, has sparked a wave of concern and disbelief across social platforms. For decades, Americans has associated typhoid and tropical storms with Asian places like the Philippines, Japan, or the Pacific Islands. But now, seeing Alaska, one of the coldest and northernmost states, getting hit by a storm of this scale has left many stunned. Videos have flooded the internet showing entire coastal villages underwater, fishing boats tossed like toys, and homes ripped apart by the wind. On platforms like, Twitter and all of that, Americans are expressing both fears and empathy. Some users are saying it's like watching climate change happen in real time, while others are calling this storm a wake up call. People are realizing that extreme weather events are no longer limited to a tropic or a Gulf Coast. They are creeping further north every year. Emergency officials say it's the strongest storm to hit Alaska in decades, with some wide gusts reaching over 100 miles per hour. Entire communities along the western coastline have been evacuated, and damage could take months or maybe even years to repair. Power outage, shortages, and communication breakdowns are adding to the chaos. You know, the Americans from the lower 48 states are now relying behind Alaskans, donating through relief organizations and sharing message of support online. Many are comparing the image to what you expect from the hurricane hitting Florida or Texas. You know, this event is no longer a large conversation about climate change and global weather patterns. Scientists have already been warning people for years that rising ocean temperature are giving storms more energy, allowing them to travel further north to hit regions that aren't built to withstand such force. For most Americans, this typhoon isn't just a natural resource disaster. I think it's actually a sign that the world weather system are changing before our eyes. And as the footage from Alaska continues to circulate, one thing is clear: nature is sending a message that can't be ignored anymore. This honest, heartbreaking, and eye opener at the same time. Alaska facing a typhoid. Anyway, that's something that we might actually thought we've witnessed. Many prayers actually goes out to everyone affected, and the fact that this has not really meet it up on this on the space of the social platform is just baffling. And the natives who have one way or the other been affected are crying out. When I saw this Alaska, incident meeting the media, I keep asking myself, is such a thing is happening? What about those people who decided that they were going to climb to the mountain, and when one thing led to the other, they are all trapped in a mountain, crying and asking people to come help them. The weather is so bad right about now. This period in time is not a period of some group of people, over 1,000 people who are actually stuck somewhere wanting to test God. But then again, there are some group of people who decided that oh, they were actually going to go up to those mountains to make sure that they got what they are asking for. I'm talking about the Mount Everest, where over 1,000 people are stuck in. If 1,000 people are stuck in, which I think most of them are not even evacuated till now, what happens with the way at which the climate change has begun? I don't think that it's actually advisable for people to go around climbing these mountains. Anyway, in case of any form of update, I'm just gonna put it up here. The thing is that Alaska is being hit, and all prayers, all help is what everyone is looking forward to. Anyway, lovies, why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So, lovelies, if you've not subscribed to this channel, Please do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button. Share your thought of what you think about this incident that is happening in Alaska. And I believe by now, help must have been on its way over there because so many people are out crying for help. Anyways, leave me your own thought and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one. Leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please don't forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So please share this video. Subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that. Like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.